All right, everybody. I hope you're having a great Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. And today we have a very exciting live stream for you. I hope you're all doing well wherever you may be in the world. And today we're going to talk a little bit about CMake. So while we're waiting to pull some more people in, I'm just going to pull up a couple little things. So let me just pull up this GitHub project. And we got the command line here. And there we go. So I'm just getting everything situated. And great. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I hope you can hear me okay. Let's see, just make sure my, just going to stop sharing my screen for a second, just make sure my mic is coming through okay and loud and clear and all. So, yep, okay, so we're all good. So big shout out to Athena in the chat early. And great. So how do I pull this? I have this toolbar and okay, I will just set it there. Okay, great. Pull this GitHub project back in. Okay, so where should I start? So yeah, what a great subject to talk about on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, wherever you may be in the world. This has been an exciting journey for me, and I'm hoping that it will be helpful for some of you that are also thinking about or considering making this journey. So basically, for ever since I started developing with JUCE, I've been using the Producer, which if any of you have been using JUCE, you use Producer, and it's a very easy and quick way to get going and get started if you're just getting started in audio software development. So recently I've started running into a challenge where, especially when I'm starting to want to think about getting third-party libraries into my application or into a plugin, and that this is where I think the Producer starts becoming more challenging. And so I think that's one side of things. I think also another side of things is that if you're a developer and you start venturing into the wider world of C++ and what other people are doing outside of the world of JUCE, what you're going to find is that you're going to run into CMake again and again and again. And in the past, what I found is that I've run away from it and I've avoided it as much as I could. But now I'm at the point where I just can't avoid it anymore. So many people use it, and it's now become necessary to learn at least the basics of it. Now, luckily, there have been some more experienced and some less experienced developers than me that actually have started taking a journey into this before me, as JUCE added CMake support officially. And so there are actually a number of fantastic talks already on the Audio Programmer YouTube channel, some from Eyal Amir. So if we just actually even go here to YouTube and I just search CMake JUCE, you'll see that there are several great talks. So this Ben Vining actually did a series on this. So he did a series of 3 or 4 videos where he really takes a deep dive into the CMake language, and talks more about how to get started. Also, P. Alamir has also done quite a bit in this space as well for the channel. So he's done two or three talks with me and live streams. So he has this presentation called CMake for the Uninitiated, and then what is CMake and why should I use it? I think we did that when the CMake and support for JUCE first got announced. And another person that's really active, really knows quite a bit about this space, that has been a big help for me, has been Sudara. So if you go to, he has a site called melatonin.dev, how to use CMake with JUCE. This is very helpful for me, and it really helps. This was one of the biggest articles that was very helpful for me. I've actually put all these in the video description. He has another resource that's really good. It's called Pample Juice. So let me see if I can find it here really quickly. Pample Juice. So if you're looking to go even further and get tests and a real CI pipeline and all of those things started, then you will find this, and I've also linked this in the video description as well. So so there are some really awesome resources out there, and even with all of these resources, I found that I was stumbling, just because I think CMake is so flexible and there are so many ways that you can do some of the same things that it can be confusing on finding there is no kind of definitive path. It all really just depends on what you're trying to do. But what I wanted to do today was show you how I converted my project from a producer application into a CMake project, and got it building, got it working and everything. And I'm hoping that through showing you the steps that I took and walking you maybe step by step through the function calls that I don't even know if they call them function calls in a CMake script or not, but that will be helpful. That'll be helpful for you as well, and that it'll help you on your journey. So one great place to get started is so let's see, where should I start? Should I start on how to get started, or should I start on some of the various reasons why I chose to use CMake? So as I said, one of the reasons that I started taking a dive into CMake is because when you go into GitHub and you start looking at importing third-party libraries, if you even start taking a look at actually using third-party, using other people's code that's outside of JUCE and the producer, you're going to more than likely run into CMake. So you need to know just how to build a CMake project and what to expect when you actually start using it. Another reason why I think it's really cool is that you can also specify what versions of third-party code that you want, what versions of third-party libraries that you want to pull in. So let's say that your code for some reason uses a older version of JUCE. That can be very challenging to get into a producer. I think you're going to have to keep an old version of the producer in, let's say, JUCE 5. So we're on JUCE 7 now. If you were on JUCE 5, I think you have to keep multiple versions of JUCE on your computer in order to do that. Whereas if you take a look at, for example, my CMake list here, for instance, this, what you can do is you can actually go to a specific commit. So like if you know about commit hashes, you could use a specific commit hash, you can use a specific version that you actually pull into your project. And that I think is really cool, because as you get further along in software development, and if you start using other people's projects, if you start using other people's code, what you start finding is that people are using very specific versions of third-party libraries, and that becomes one of the challenges, is being able to pull in that project with and get the project building with those specific versions. Because if you update the version for some reason, it doesn't build, it doesn't work, it doesn't build for Mac Silicon, it doesn't, there are various reasons why they may choose to stick with an old version. There may be a feature that was in that old library that they decided to do away with. There may be some sort of syntax that they use that got changed. So there are various reasons why you may want to use an older version of a library or stick to that version. And CMake makes it a lot easier, in my opinion, to do that. If you go to, and this is covered as well in some of the other talks that people have done on this. So let me see. So if I go to this project, let's say I go to this project, right? And that in this situation, what you have to do is, if I was using like a third-party library, then what you have to do is, for every single IDE that you use, so if you use Xcode, if you use CLion, if you use Microsoft Visual Studio for Windows, all of those things, if you're using the producer, every single version that you use, you have to specify the library paths, and those could be vastly different depending on which IDE that you're using. So there's a lot, there's a lot that I think CMake does that gives you that makes things easier, or seems to make things easier. But there's a bit of a learning curve as well. And I decided to do this video specifically because I'm going through that learning curve right now. So I've got like the very, very, very first kind of steps of like, okay, I got my first CMake project building and cobbled together some different pieces from some members of the community that have been really helpful in helping me get this together and helping me just get my head around the idea of CMake and all of these things. And so big shout out to them, big shout out to Ben Vining, to Sudara, to Daniel, to who else, to Normalized, aka Martin. And there have been a couple other people that have been really helpful as well in the build systems section of our community. So big shout out to you. Thank you. And I would never be able, or I don't know if I never would have been able to figure it out, but it would have taken me a very long time to figure it out without your help. Another essential piece of this is the JUCE CMake API. So they actually have this this API, which actually has I guess these are technically called function calls. I'm not sure. I apologize if that's not the technical name for them, but to me they're function calls. So so as you can see, just in, for instance, there are various ways to get to the same result. One of those could be just the way that you include the JUCE library. One way could be to use a the function add subdirectory, which actually just you copy and you paste your JUCE library into that subdirectory, and then you just call add subdirectory to a folder called JUCE, which is inside your repository, and that should work. So that's like the quickest and kind of dirtiest way to do that. Then everything from there starts getting into actually taking and downloading or cloning the repository from JUCE, from the JUCE repository, and bringing it into your own project. So, and there are various ways to do that. So you could do it using what's called submodules. You could do it using what I decided to use, which is called fetch content. And then and then to make it even a little bit more complex, you can actually, the CMake actually has third-party libraries that you can actually use within CMake. So CMake has its own, like, there are people that make packages and make things for CMake specifically. So there's another tool that's called CPM, which is a lot like fetch content that allows you to bring in packages. But for this particular example, I decided to use fetch content because it's a native CMake, functionality. It's and I might change it a little bit later, but I'll come back to that. So and the reason that I decided to kind of go this direction with things and to do this video is because I found that even though there are quite a few resources on online on our channel, just on YouTube, I found that the situation was a bit like this, where it would be like a lot of talks would be something like, yeah, here's what CMake is, in principle, this is how you do it. And then they would say something like, okay, now let me show you my CMake project. It's a lot more complicated. It uses this this complex thing, and it uses this complex pipeline, and I've done all these different things that I've brought in. I'm like, I really need to just see like a hello world of CMake, of a CMake project, in order to really get an understanding of how this works. I need to see like the most blank project with CMake that used to be a JUCE project, and now it's a CMake project. And that is how I learned, so I found that that it went from like simple, here's CMake in principle and some of the things that it could do, to like extreme, here's my like really customized pipeline using CMake. And I really was like, okay, I need something that's a little bit a little bit more simplified than that. So one great starting point to point you towards is that when you get JUCE, or you clone the repo, you download it from the JUCE website, that it actually has examples in here. So if you go into your applications folder, into examples, into CMake, then you actually have three kind of templates that are great starting points for this. So you have audio plugin template, and so you can actually just open this CMake list.txt. The font's probably a little bit smaller if you're taking a look here. And they actually have done a fantastic job of just talking about the things that you may or may not need to get your project started. Okay, so you have that. You have a console app, which is kind of like this UI list, just console app with just a main.cpp. And then you have what is my particular situation, which is a GUI app, a graphic user interface app that has audio functionality. And so that was where I started. So, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to take a step back here. If you go to the JUCE DJ app repository, which is in the video description, you can actually just clone this repo. And when you pull it, this is what you can see. And this is one of the things that I actually really like about CMake as well, is that when you look at this repository, it's pretty minimal. It's got a README, it's got a source folder that now has like all of your source files, and it's got this CMake list.txt. If you go back to, so let me see, how do I go back through the history again? Okay, here we go, 25 commits. Yeah. So if I go back to, let's look at this one. Right. Oh, how do I, so let me see if I remember just how to, I want to go back to the main, to what that main page looked like back then. So let me see here. So maybe if I, so you got code. Okay, you'll see it when I actually pull it. So actually, if I go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go to the repository that I have now. So here's the repository as I have it now. So this is exactly what you see on GitHub. I'm going to take this CMake list.txt. So this is the actual like file that you need that tells CMake how to build your project. Okay, so think of this as your produce, as your new producer. So it's like your produce, what your producer was doing, except now you're doing this in a bit of code. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take this CMake list. I'm just going to copy it, and I'm going to just paste it on my desktop for now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go a few commits back. So if I go to my command line, and I will make this bigger so you can now see that more clearly. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my git log. So if you press git log --all, now this is showing all of my commits. So now what I can do is I can actually, so what I can do is I can go to my actual commit hash. That's what they call this. And just copy the first couple numbers. You don't need to copy the entire thing. And then let's see if I do. So when you're in there as well. So I'm gonna take people through step by step so they can actually see. So if I do that again, down here at the very bottom, you'll see like kind of a colon. The reason that you're seeing this colon is I believe you're in what's called Vim now at the moment, which is just there are many jokes about being in Vim hell, which is like this place that you can't get out of in the command line. What it's looking for you to do is just press Q here to get out of that, because if I try to type in another command, you're going to see like, what the heck is it doing? So and now I'm like actually stuck. I'm in Vim hell myself actually at the moment. So I'm just going to hit terminate, open up a new window, and then I'll do this same command again, just to show you what I mean. Because I just pressed some random keys and it did something random for me. So we will do, first I need to CD back to the folder again. So we will CD back to the folder. And then once again, git log --all. Now I'm here. Now, all I need to do is just press Q, and now I'm back. I will be back in the regular command line, and I can type commands. So, and as Marvatronics says in the chat, press escape, type Q. I actually tried to press escape and it didn't work in that last scenario. So I was really in bin hell. So, yeah, so I've copied a hash, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through my commit history to a commit in the past. So if I do git checkout, and then I paste the hash code that from my former commit, and I want to pull this up. So let me pull this side by side. So this is just especially, I think this will be especially helpful for people who are just getting started, just getting a better understanding of what's going on with GitHub repositories, that sort of thing. So you see this, right? But when I do git checkout and I put in that hash key to that former commit, you're going to see it magically change. Watch JUCE DJ app. And boom, now you see CMake list has now changed, right? It's gone now. And now we have a juicer app, right? So now we see that's a little bit more complicated than what we had before. So we have this folder called builds, we have this juicer, we have our source, and we have our readme. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try being the operative word to go step by step to show you what I did to get from a ProJuicer application to a CMake application that actually works. Okay, so we're going to try this out, and fingers crossed it doesn't actually break. That it actually works. I mean, if it actually breaks, then I can just go back to what I had before. But hopefully this actually works. So if you've used JUCE before, you know that this is the ProJuicer, and you just hit this little button up here, and it will save it, and it'll open it in your Xcode, and then you can build it, and it should build. Yeah, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't build. I mean, whether it builds or not is not really so important at this point, but yeah, it builds. Just wait for it to come up. And there's our app, right? So that builds fine, right? So now what we're going to do is let's say that I want to convert this to a CMake application now. Okay, so this means that the ProJuicer is going to go bye-bye, and we're going to journey into the land of CMake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this juicer, I'm going to take JUCE library code, and I'm going to take this builds folder, and I will take the builds folder, and I'm going to move it out of the project. So I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to move it out. Just move it to my other screen. Sorry, my mouse ran out of room there, and there we go. So now I have this. I'm going to take my resources folder. So my resources folder just has my the images that I've used. So at this point, it's just 2 fonts and this I use the binary builder to build these resources folders. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my last live stream, and you can and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to now move that into the source folder, because that's part of my source. That's part of my source folder, right? So now I have my README, my source. What happened? This is supposed to go in here. Oh, I have 2 folders called resources. What happened here? 1 second. Weird. Okay, so that's going to replace the other resources folder. Okay, so now I have two. Now I have two folders, right? Just the README and my source code. So now what I'm going to do is I'm here in the command line and I'm going to use the command touch. So TOUCH. And touch means like create. So that just means that we're going to create a new file, could create a new directory. No, create a directory would be MakeDir, MKDIR. But to create a new file, you could create a new CPP file, you can create a new TXT file, you can create a new JPEG, you can create any new file that you want here. But in this case, we're going to create a CMake file. And it needs to be capitalized and lowercase and look exactly like this. So we're going to do touch C with a capital C, M with a capital M, AKE, L with a capital L, like that. CMake lists.txt. And so now when I do that, you're going to see a new file show up in our repository. Okay. And if you don't know commands, if you don't know any command line, check out my video from way back a couple of years ago called Command Line Basics, where I take you through stuff like CD changing directory, make dir, MKDIR, which is make a directory, git pull, git push, all of those things. So we're doing touch CMake list.txt, and I hit enter. And now we see that it's created a new file called CMake list.txt. Okay. At the moment, and this is where you get to the intimidating part where you say, oh man, what do I do from here? So what I'm going to do is, like I said, the JUCE, the JUCE templates is a very good place to start. So let me just show you where that is again. So if you go to your applications folder, go to JUCE, and then go into examples, go into CMake. And if you want to build an audio plugin, a great starting point is with this CMake list.txt. And you will, if you're just starting like myself, you will find that this will be a struggle. This is going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, and you're going to be looking through different documentation, different videos, different tutorials, all kinds of different things to get started. My best advice is, this is kind of part of being a developer, learning new things, learning about these things that you have no idea about, and you just have to persevere and you just have to push through it. And don't be afraid to ask people. Don't be afraid to ask people that are in your developer community about it, because I mean, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and that's exactly what I had to do. So with that being said, this took me a little while, as in a little bit more than a day to actually start coming up with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go line by line, and I'm going to do my best to explain this line by line, so that you get a better idea, and it's not just a tutorial where you say, okay, just type this and it'll work, right? It's important to understand why you're typing it. So the first thing that we're going to do is every CMake project has to have this line first: CMake _minimum_ required, and then version in all caps, and then the CMake version. So I'm using version 3.25. Also, I will say that surprisingly, CMake actually has some really good documentation and some really good tutorials. So if you go to CMake, I think it's CMake.com, CMake.org. You know, it's actually really good. There are like walkthrough tutorials. It's actually really cool. And if you don't have CMake, if you type CMake in your command line and and it says that it doesn't know what you're talking about, then what you need to do is you need to download the latest release from CMake.org. Like I said, it all sounds like a little bit like all over the place at first. Just go with it, and as you go with it, you're going to familiarize yourself with it. Just trust the journey. So let's see if we can go to the CMake API doc, and yeah, so you know, you have your documentation here. Like I said, it's actually pretty cool. Like if you go to CMake tutorial, and you'll see that I've been here. It has like, okay, if you're just getting started, you know nothing about CMake, then it actually starts walking you through. And I started taking that journey, and I think that's a great starting point. So like I said, this is the first line, and this needs to be the first line, right? Now you have a project function called this, where and I don't like when it does that. I should probably use Sublime Text or something too, so it doesn't do autocorrect like that. So we will do project, and then this is where we put what our project name is. So in this case, it is JUCE DJ app, and then if you want, you can put the version a version number here, but that's optional, so you don't have to do that, but I did it in this case. The next thing that you need to do, or the next thing that I did in this situation, was I set what version of C++ that I was using. So this is another cool thing about CMake, is that you can set your C++ standard. You can actually set, if you want to get fancy and start using different compilers, then you can do that as well here. Set which compiler that you want to compile with, and all of that fancy stuff. So in this situation, we're going with the CMake 17, which is a nice modern standard to go with. So, you know, if you wanted to be C++ 14, you can do that. So yeah, so that's how you do that. Then this was something that I borrowed from my friend Sudara. So basically, if I wanted to bring in any sort of modules, libraries, and things like that, then this line is saying that I don't want to generate. So you have these things called schemes in Xcode. So let me just pull up what I mean. It's actually not going to probably find my, doesn't matter. But basically a scheme are like different build schemes in your project, that and you don't want to generate a scheme for every one of your modules. So I'm just setting that to off. I don't think that's so important at this particular point. Then comes the point where we want to actually bring in JUCE. Okay, so there are multiple ways to do this. So we will go back and I will show you a few options again. So if we go to JUCE CMake API, and this is right under the getting started. So like I said, the kind of what would you call it, brute force, naive, most simple thing to do here is you could use the function called add subdirectory and then JUCE. And then what you need to do is take your JUCE contents from your applications folder, just copy it and then paste it into a folder called JUCE. So it would literally look something like this. So let me go back to my. So if I go open, I will show you kind of what that looks like. So if I do open dot, that means I would create a folder called JUCE. Then I would open a new window, go to the applications folder. This is how, for me, this is how I need to learn. And this is how I learn, like just the most simple use case, right? And then that's exactly what you do, right? Just like that. Now you have a subfolder, a subdirectory called JUCE. And what I would be able to do is I could say add underscore subdirectory JUCE. And now JUCE is able, you can use JUCE, right? So I opted to do something a little bit more complex in this case. So I didn't do that. So let me show you what I did. I went for Ben Binding's approach, which is that I used a function in CMake called fetch content. Okay, so I actually just copied what he actually wrote or suggested for me. So I actually don't know what this set fetch content quiet off is. Let's take a look and find out together. So set fetch content quiet off, or like, let me just do that. Oh, here we go. So let's see. If anybody happens to know, then please feel free to show it. And by the way, a lot you go through a lot of, you end up going through a lot of Stack Overflow resources for some of these things. So is there some way to show download progress while downloading Git repository? So I tried to clear fetch content quiet. So to see Git clone progress, you need to set both fetch content quiet. So it has something to do with seeing the progress of fetch content when it's actually grabbing JUCE for you. So because then what happens is as it's cloning the repository from JUCE, it's showing you the progress of what's happening. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, it's really interesting that it could actually that CMake actually has, you know, settings that you could do. Then you have to include fetch content. So fetch content is once again the functionality that allows you to bring a library into your project. So I've included fetch content, and now what I've done. So let me actually skip over this step for a second and go to the fetch content declare. So this little baby here. And this is how you actually get JUCE into your project. So it's basically saying the library name is JUCE. So let's see if we can find the actual documentation for this and see how that lines up with what I've done. Right. So let's go back to here. We've got fetch content. Fetch content. Is it declare? Yeah. Fetch dot content declare. And so now you can see some examples of how this works, right? So once again, CMake documentation is actually pretty good. So we see here that we have the name of the library. Then we have an argument called Git repository, which goes to the actual Git repository. Then you can use a Git tag where you actually put the actual hash of the release that you want. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier about if you're using a project that needs to use a version of JUCE from, JUCE 5, JUCE 4, that you could go back and you can search for a specific commit and actually use that if that's what you need to do. If you're just starting off, that may sound like something that, well, why would I ever want to do that? I'd always want to use the newest one. But as you get more experienced in software development, as if you ever go and work for a larger company, like a Focusrite, a Native Instruments, any company like that, then you will find that many times they will be using an older version of a library that because if they try to update it, that it'll break their code. So it's important to know how to do this. So there you go. So in this particular situation, we are using the Git repository. This is the JUCE Git. We're getting it from origin master. Then we got this Git shallow. So that's a shallow clone. What's shallow cloning really? I can't remember. Then there's this find package arguments 7.03 global. So that's the version that we're cloning. So that is actually how we're pulling JUCE into the project. Then what we need to do is we need to make it available. So we need to make it available for our project. So you use this other function call called fetch content _ make available. And that's what you put in there for your argument, JUCE. And then here is the line that I use. So this actually comes from the JUCE CMake API. So you got GUI application. So you have JUCE add GUI app. So it adds an executable target with the name so this adds a target to your project, and I'll show you what that actually means in once we open up the project with the name that we want, and I'll show you how that actually happens. So Marvitronics says that the Git shallow is that you're just getting the most recent recent repository commit without the entire repository history. That's what Git shallow on actually means. So it's just getting the most recent commit. So that JUCE add underscore GUI underscore app is where it will actually add a target for your Xcode project that is called JUCE DJ app. Okay, and that is what you see here. So if I go here, this is a target. So you can actually create multiple targets where you basically, if you had a whole bunch of, this could be a whole bunch of plugins, for instance, and you can actually just, if they were using the same libraries, the same stuff, that you can actually switch and build for different plugins just by switching the target, all using one kind of master CMake script. Okay, but in this case, we only have one target, which is JUCE DJ app. But if I had another application that was using a similar, that was using the same libraries, if I have my own custom libraries or custom modules that were in here, I could actually put that in here, and that I would actually be able to generate one kind of huge master Xcode project that would have all of these targets that I could build for. And I could build for one of those. I could build all of, if I had like 10 plugins, and let's say that there was an OS update and I just needed to change something in my library, and then just build all 10 plugins at the same time, you could actually set it up where it could actually do that. So that's actually very powerful once you get going. So now we're going to go back a couple lines. There's this option and set property function calls that I actually put right after include fetch content, or it could be right before, I think. So this is once again coming from the JUCE CMake API documentation. So this actually allows you to do what I was able to previously do in producer projects, where I could actually go through the JUCE source code and like see how certain source code was written. So if you go to the JUCE CMake documentation, you'll see what I mean here. So if I paste this in here and just search for it. So that's exactly what it says. This option will make module source files browsable in IDE projects. Okay, so it'll make module source files browsable in IDE projects. What that means is that the JUCE library code is now browsable within your IDE, which in my case is Xcode. So there is a little bit of a trade-off. So it might slow down the configuration. And then it says, if you do this, you should probably also add set property, global property use folders, as this is required for source grouping to work. Okay, so it actually groups it into the libraries as you may be used to seeing in a CMake, or in your producer project, right? Now, let's see, let's go to our next line. So now this little bit is a little bit controversial. So what I was finding is that, so like, I will skip over all of these and I'll show you what actually happens when I don't have these. And then I'll come back and I'll show you why I added those. Then let's see, we have this bottom line, which is the libraries that we want to link. Okay, so these are the JUCE libraries that we actually specifically want to use for our project. And you're probably saying, where do you find those, right? Because that's what I said. And so if you go to the JUCE documentation, and you go to modules, here is where you see your modules. So before, when I was using the producer before, I just did one include in all of my JUCE source files, which was juice header.h. Juice header.h includes all of those things. And also in the producer, you can actually set which modules to include and which ones not to include. So like, for instance, you probably wouldn't want JUCE cryptography, for instance, but this is really cool because now you start to get, this has actually changed my understanding of JUCE a little bit more, in that I thought of JUCE before as more of a like one big blob of stuff, of tools, but in actuality, it's more like a collection of different libraries. So they are, you have stuff for like JUCE DSP, you have stuff for UI, you have stuff for OpenGL, for video. So it's like more like a huge collection of smaller libraries, and you can include some of them, you can include all of them. And what may, this is also a something that is not really for certain, but maybe correct in theory, that if you just include the source files that you need, rather than including juice header.h in all of your source files, in theory, I guess it would should make your compilation faster, make your project compile faster, but I don't know. Yeah, I think that would be right in theory. So yeah, so in this particular project, I'm using quite a few ones here, and I'm adding those down here. So target link libraries. So let's see, do we need, so yeah, so we need target sources. So I'm just making sure that I don't need, just taking a look here. I actually need all of this. So I'm going to explain all of this. So what was happening before was that I was having a situation where the CMake project was working, where it was actually creating my project and everything was working fine. The only situation was that I have my source tree in different folders. So if I go into source and go in here, now I have different folders, and I want the source files to remain in those folders. So I have this audio player.h, I have a data, a state, and a view folder that has their own individual source files. And I was like, and before it was just taking, I think this is an Xcode thing, but it was just taking all of these source files and it was just putting them in one gigantic folder called source. And I was like, where is my source tree? Where's my look and feel folder? All of those things. So Sudara actually showed this, gave me these this code that actually appropriately puts them in the right source files and everything. So there are some people that say that it's not best practice to use glob or glob recurse for reasons that I don't really know. Like I said, I'm just learning this thing like you, but it works for now, and I don't want to break it. So so I'm just going to put all of that there. And that is why I've done that. So it puts it into the folders nice and neat. So now I can hit save. And now I can close this. And so now I have a completed CMake list.txt and a source folder that has my source code and my README. Okay, so now let's see if this actually works. So I'm just going to close out some of these extra things. And see if this actually works. So what you do, so let's say that you have come into a project, in this case, my application, and you've cloned my repository, right? And we're just going to go through this together. You clone my repository, it's downloaded to your computer, and this is what you have. You have a source folder, you have some CMake list.txt, and you have a README, right? What do you do, right? So you CD to the folder, and we will now go through the steps to actually create your folder. So, and this is what I've actually described in this documentation. Sorry, I'm just trying to move this so you can actually see everything appropriately. There we go. That's about the best I can do. So, so now, you need CMake, download and install it. So now in the command line, you CD to the JUCE DJ app folder where you have your repository, right? And then you just call this function. So you just literally write this in the command line: CMake -b builds -g xcode. So let's take a look at what that actually does. So if we go to CMake -b, what does that actually do? That, I believe, actually creates your builds folder and actually puts it into your, I'm trying to find some actual official documentation. So let's see here. So let's do -b. Here we go. Maybe if I do this, CMake help. Oh no, it doesn't have it. I'm trying to find the actual CMake flags documentation here, so I'm not just telling you, yeah, do this, and not where is it? Okay, so CMake -b builds. Let's just try that, right? That should create a builds folder. And let's see how far it goes. Oh, here we go. CMake -help. That's what I want. So CMake -help. Okay. So this will probably give me a whole bunch of stuff. So -b, path to build. So that's the path to build. So I guess that this actually will actually create the builds folder if you don't if it doesn't exist. Then we have a -G flag as well, which is where you actually specify what type of project that you want, what type of IDE that you want to do this with. So you could do Xcode, you could do CLion, you can, if you're in Microsoft Visual Studio, then you can specify that as well. And now I'm going to test myself again here and see if we do CMake-G generator options, Visual Studio. Let's see if it, so here we go. So just looking for the actual, here we go. Yeah, so I guess for Visual Studio 15, you would just type that Visual Studio 1527 Win64. Let's try Xcode, right? Xcode. Okay, so it looks like there's a function that you can actually call CMake Xcode generate scheme. This is so funny. I think that adding Xcode generator, where this is funny because I'm trying to find where it specifically says that you could that you can do it. Oh, if you just type CMake-G on the command line, it will list the generators. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is so funny. CMake-G. Ah, here we go. Yeah, so you can use Ninja, you can use Xcode, code blocks, Eclipse, Sublime Text, or Makefiles, right? So, so here, I'm not sure if that's, yeah. So yeah, so that's what leads us to the command CMake-B builds -G Xcode. So it needs to be exactly like that. Builds with a capital B and Xcode with a capital X. And then we will see what happens here. Okay, so I will just pull this like this so you can actually see. See, it's created a builds folder. Now it's doing a whole bunch of funky stuff, cloning into JUCE source. So we'll see, it should populate in here. So we're just waiting for it to clone. But yeah, so to go back to the generator options, you see that Visual Studio was not an option that I had on my in my generator because I'm of course on Mac, so Visual Studio wouldn't be available to me. So yeah, so now it's building, and see, now you're seeing a whole bunch of files. Uh-oh, cannot find target to add properties to, cannot specify sources or target JUCE DJF. So there was an error. Okay, cool. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of everything that's in the builds folder. So I'm just going to go back, and now I'm going to go back to my CMake. I'm just going to do this and compare it, I must have missed something. So, okay, so let's just compare what we have here. So we got CMake minimum required. We got the project. We set the C++ standard. Set make Xcode generate scheme off. Also going to close out Xcode and JUCE for a juicer. So we set the Xcode scheme off. Then fetch content quiet off, then include fetch content. We did that, and then they declare fetch content make available. We added the JUCE DJ app, and we added all this business, file, glob, recurse, source files. We set the target, we did source group, then we added target sources. Oh, no, did I do that? Yeah, I did that. Now, how did I know that this is going to happen? So let's go back to the error. Could not find target to add properties to. Cannot specify. So did I spell something wrong in JUCE DJ app? Aha! So DJ app, it has lowercase a, and it needs to be a capital A. Boom. So something like that will definitely mess you up. Okay, so now we will go back here and we will try again. Okay. So now we're cloning, we're setting, we're bringing JUCE into the project. And we just need to wait a couple seconds. So now it's populating our CMake, our builds folder with various CMake files that I don't, no idea what they do. But they're creating them. Code is happening. Things are building. Yeah, so just waiting for it to finish up. And boom, now it has created our Xcode project. So you will see, so if you're first starting out, you may be scared because you're saying, where's my producer? Where's my producer project? The answer is it doesn't exist anymore. It's now just an Xcode project, or if you wanted it to be a CLion, if you wanted it to be a CLion project, you could do that by generating a CLion project. That's one of the beauties of using CMake, is that you can now use just one configuration file to build the project in for Mac, for Windows, no matter what IDE that the person uses. It makes it, for the most part, more of a breeze. So the first thing that I want to do is now I want to go to the target, and I want to change this to my actual app that I want to build for, JUCE DJ app. Okay, so also we see that all of the files now are working properly, except you'll now see an error that says JUCE header.h not found, right? So the reason that is happening is that now what we have opted to do in this particular situation is to use individual JUCE libraries rather than using just JUCE header.h. Now, if you wanted to just use JUCE header.h, there's actually an option to do this. So I'm going to go here. And there's actually a function that you can call where you can say generate a JUCE header that uses all of the libraries that you've linked. In this case, that would be all of these libraries, and puts them all into a JUCE header.h. And then you can just now call everything from JUCE header.h. Okay, but we have opted not to do this. Okay, so now what you're going to find is that your former ProJuicer project will not build because it does not find JUCE header anymore. Okay, so you have to get rid of that. That's gone now. Okay, so now I would just go to all the JUCE header.h's. And get rid of them because they don't work. Okay, but now you're going to run into another problem because it doesn't know where anything is. Okay, and so I'm going to show you what we do here, right? So now what you do is you include the individual libraries that JUCE uses. So you don't want to just have one JUCE header anymore. You want to now think of these as like kind of separate individual smaller libraries that you can include some of, but you don't need to bring everything in. And this starts to get more useful when you are thinking about the size of your executable, when you're thinking about compile times, when your project starts to get huge. You don't want to include a whole bunch of source code that you're not going to use. Okay, so that's why we do that. So now we'll do this. I'll see if I can sensibly do this without taking forever to do it. But I want to show you how we handle this part. So it says, I don't know what JUCE component is. So what you can do is you go to the class list, and now you go to JUCE, or now you go to component, and the component class. Of course, it has about 90 components. I will tell you from experience that the one that we want is in the GUI library. So now I will click on the component class, and we will see that the component class is in the JUCE GUI basics library. Okay, so now what I could do is, I could do include JUCE GUI basics folder, JUCE GUI basics.h, like that. Okay, so now that's one of them. Okay, so now we see it's not complaining about the component anymore. So now we want to do audio device manager. Okay, so once again, we go back here, audio device manager. Okay, now this is in the JUCE audio devices library. Okay, so I will do include JUCE audio devices, JUCE audio devices.h. Okay, so now I'm just going to copy these for now, and I'm going to see what other errors that it gives me, and we will do this together until we get to the point that we're building. So one thing that you may notice is that some of the node type found may take us to a CPP file. We want to make sure that we're in the header file, okay? Because what'll happen is that it will complain. It will it's better to well, I find that it's better to have this all in the header file. So now we have it complaining about audio device selector component. Okay. So now I will go back here. Audio device selector component. That's right here. That's in JUCE audio utils. Okay, so now I will include that. Include JUCE audio utils, JUCE audio utils.h. Okay, so now I'm just gonna copy all three of these because I'm gonna probably need these for other libraries that it's complaining about. Okay, so once again, in this one, JUCE header.h, that's gone now. But while we're here, we want to find out what the typeface class is. Okay, so let's find the typeface class. And that is in JUCE graphics. Okay, so now I will include that. Include JUCE graphics, JUCE graphics. Okay. And then what we'll do is we will just keep doing this. So now we see that that is complaining that resources.h is not found. Okay. And if you have been watching the entire live stream, you'll recall that I actually took the resources folder and moved it. So what we want to do is we are currently in stylesheet.h. Okay, so let's find out. So that's in the look and feel folder. Okay, this is stylesheet.h. So ... means go back a directory. So ... would bring us back to the look and feel folder. And then we will see from the look and feel folder that the resources folder is in the same directory. So we just need one ... rather than two, and that should correct us now. Okay. Okay, so we also see that it's complaining about JUCE look and feel v4, doesn't know what that is. So once again, we just go back, look and feel, and we go to v4. We see that's in JUCE GUI basics. Okay, so we now include that. JUCE GUI basics, JUCE GUI basics.h. Okay. So I'm going to copy this down here. I'm going to bring this up here. So I'm creating kind of a master list of all the graphics of all the libraries that I'm using to bring along with me to each one of these places. So here we have another one where it's JUCE header.h is not found. That's because we don't use that anymore. And now we need change listener. Okay. So we go to change listener, not that one, the other one. And this will be in one called JUCE events. Okay. So we will include JUCE events, JUCE events.h. Okay. I'm going to add that to my kind of master list. So as time goes on, we should. So now we have this JUCE header.h. I don't actually know if this needs anything. So, okay. So we got this one complaining now. So we got JUCE string. So we go to the string. There are 11 classes with So that's going to be probably JUCE core. So that's the JUCE core library. And so we do #, include JUCE core, JUCE core. Okay. Now that's that, and that's build failed. So just need to have a little bit of patience as we do this. So change broadcaster, I know is going to be JUCE events, JUCE events, JUCE events, like this. And then once again, another one that doesn't take JUCE header.h. So now we got JUCE file. So we need the file class. So that's in JUCE core as well. Oh, so # include JUCE core, JUCE core.h. Okay, and I'm just going to add this to my master list of stuff. Delete the rest of these that we don't need. Then we got audio format reader that we need. Audio format reader. So that's JUCE audio formats. So include JUCE audio formats, JUCE audio formats.h. Well, what else doesn't it know? So we're going to go to the CPP file, should be complaining. I will come back to that. So once again, doesn't know where JUCE header.h is found. So let's see, so build again. So you just have to go through this until you get to the end. So audio buffer, so it doesn't know what audio buffer is in this case. Or audio format manager. So we go to audio buffer. That's in JUCE audio basics. Make sure we're in the header again. So okay, then build again. Sometimes then we have audio thumbnail cache. So we got the audio thumbnail caches, audio thumbnail classes, thumbnail. So that's in JUCE audio utils. So this just keeps me from having to type it all every single time. Okay, so that started fixing that. Now I'm just going to go to this. Oh, this is a good one. This is actually a one that's a little bit different. But before we do that, let me see if I can fix these. Okay, so it looks like we're starting to get near the end. So project info is a little bit of a different one. So I kind of did a hack for this and wanted to come back and find a better answer later, but I'm going to leave this page open. But if we go to forum, to the JUCE forum, another fantastic resource that has over 10 years of questions and answers for the JUCE framework. And then if you do project info, you will see something like this. In order to keep recompilation times. We're trying to go away from the include JUCE header. There's no single header to include the project info block, right? So what it ends up saying from Ruben is that it's quicker just to create your own struct called project info. Okay, so then you have a little bit of a little challenge here. I'm just going to minimize this in that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop this in here. Okay. Now the only thing is that those are now undeclared. So it's going to complain about that now. See, replace. Also now it's building. Let's see what happens. It should complain if my memory is correct that yeah, undefined symbol. So that means that we haven't actually set project project name, company name, all of these things. So you can actually set that here below. I think I could just do something like this. It's maybe project name equals JUCE DJ app, like that. Const char star const company name equals the audio programmer. Then it's asking for the version in string format. So now we do const char star const version string equals 0.1.0.0.1, and then it asks for it in an int version. So const int version number equals 0.1.0. Oh, actually, it's an int, so I'll just put version number 1. Okay, so now let's see what happens. So we still got build failed, so it looks like we still, let's see, can we do clean build folder? So product, just gonna, is that what I want to do? No, I don't want to clean that. Let's just see what else we have here. Because sometimes when you fix these, they still show up. So now you get a few little warnings that weren't really happening before. I'm not exactly sure why that happens, but okay. So now I'm just going to declare the destructor override. I'm going to ignore those for now. So no template name audio buffer. So let's go back here. So that should be fixed now. So then you have some stuff like this, where get game slider value returns a float or a double, but you want to float. So I'm just going to do a static cast float. Did I get that right? No, it's angle brackets like this. I did all of this before, so that's how I'm coming to these fixes so quickly. So implicit conversion changes signedness unsigned int to int. So what I could do, so set size is expecting an int. I'm just going to do static cast int, and that's just casting that. So that should get rid of that warning. Private field file is loaded is not used. So I'm just going to comment that out. This is what building really is. It's just doing this. So here's a little trick right here, which is that it's now giving a warning on that this is an unused parameter. So you actually have something from the maths library. So if I go to, I'm just gonna Google it, JUCE unused maths. So let me see if that turns it up. Interesting that this is showing up in the maths library, but there's this little handy kind of helper function called ignore unused, which will silence these errors. So what I need to do there is I need to include JUCE maths. So where's JUCE maths in? JUCE core. JUCE core.h. And now I should be able to call the function ignore unused. Command line. That should work. Yep, so that silenced that. We're going to do the same thing here. Just to silence this warning. I'm a believer in treating warnings as errors. And then we have this this one. So implicit conversion loses floating point precision double to float. So once again, so that's this. So let's see. So disk center is a float, so it's expecting all of this to be a float as well. So I could do I'm going to do a C style conversion here just for the sake of making it a little bit more readable. Rather than it looking like a complete mess of junk. So it got rid of that. Okay, so it's complaining about this. So this is not quite right. So static. Or is it? It just went away. Oh no, it says it's unused. So I'm not declaring this right. Do I do it like this? Let me just see. I think there was like a little trick that I used here. So you can't, unfortunately, declare them, just declare them in line like before. But I think there's something that I'm missing there. Okay, so we got, looks like we got a couple little stragglers on here that we still need to fix here. So just trying to find, so settings view. So those aren't errors anymore. That shouldn't be an error anymore. Okay. Oh yeah, so this So then there was a warning for this one, which was that I haven't declared a source in here. So I needed to fix that because this is listening for a change in the device manager. So the audio device manager is a change broadcaster, but you have to do a little bit of you actually have to cast to make it work. So you have to call if source. So let's just try it. Let's just try it as it is, right? So if I do, and I'll show you why we need to do it the way that we do. So I'm just going to bring this in here and just say if our change broadcaster is the source, and then let's see if that works, right? So funny, it's not complaining about that, but I'm still getting that undefined symbol. Okay, so let's see here. Wish this would just update my errors so I actually know what's going on. So now I'm just looking for it says unused variable. So I did actually look at this the other day. And I think I did something like Googling initialize. Yes, so static const. So I think I got it from here. So I don't think that I needed. Let me see here. Static const char star. So I don't think I can declare it static here. Or const. I'm trying to remember how I got this to actually work last time. Okay, let's try that again now. Okay. We're nearly there. So I'm going to do clean builds folder. And then try to build this again. So clean build folder is a good way to get all of the old stuff, all the old warnings and errors and everything. So that's still not quite working. So main component still showing this. So this is kind of the last one keeping us from compiling. So where was that in? That's in where? In main. Let me just go back here and just going to look at how I did it before. So GitHub. Use DJF. Then source, then main. Oh, I had to declare it inline. So like this. Yes, because I'm in. Yes, and we got build succeeded. Boom. After all of that. So now we got build succeeded. We finally got back to where we were before. So it took a little while, but it's worked. It's worked. The biggest thing was having to declare our own project info struct. We've got a little error here of this being. Is that right? So I just remove that semicolon. Yes, and now all of our errors are gone. This is just some erroneous weird thing that Xcode does sometimes where it's making it like there's an error. Oh, it disappeared. Great. So that is how you convert a producer project into a CMake project. So I hope that that was helpful for you. I actually want to quickly try something. I don't know if this is going to work. This will be a good, interesting test to see if in principle this works, or if I could even get it working or not. I'm just curious about it, which is bringing in a third-party library, seeing if that's something that will be a breeze here, and if I can apply the principles that I've learned before to what we have now. So first thing I'm going to do is I now have the steps that I just took there. I already did those before. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my command line. I'm going to do git reset -- hard. And what that's going to do, that's going to clear out everything that I've just done over the past hour or two. The reason being is that my latest commit has all of this stuff. So I'm going to go back to my latest commit. So now I think if I do git checkout main, that'll bring me up to the latest commit. Please move or remove them before. So I just want to go. Can I do all? So this is. So I think I just might be able to do that by just checking out the latest hash. So git checkout this. Following unworked. The following would be overwritten by checkout. Please remove them. Please move or remove them before you switch branches. I'm not switching branches though. So I've done git reset. All right. Oh, it's because it still keeps all of this stuff. So what I would need to do is, so we get rid of this. Get rid of that resources folder, right? Okay, now we should be able to just check it out. What's going on? Okay. Oh, that's in the source folder, resources. Okay, cool. So now what I've done is I've just gone to my latest commit. So here we are. And now I'm going to try an experiment, and I don't know if this is going to work or just be a fall flat on my face moment, but let's try it out together and see if it works. So one of the main motivations for this was trying to get third-party libraries in there, because I'm going to need to sensibly use some third-party libraries for this DJ project. One of the libraries that I need to use is one that I found in the JUCE forum that is for metadata. So I think it'd be like wave metadata. There was a library that somebody pointed out. So unfortunately, one of the unfortunate things is that JUCE does not have very good functionality for figuring out metadata for audio files. So there was a library that somebody had pointed out. It was from way, way, way back. Maybe I search audio metadata. It was from something way back. Trying to find it. I think it was called taglib or something like that. Taglib. Let me just tag lib metadata. Ah, here we go. I'm glad I remembered what it was actually called. So here we go, taglib. So it's an audio metadata library. So like I said, so this is a DJ app, you're gonna want to find out like what the artist name is, what the title of the track is from the metadata that's stored in a WAV file. And so you can either roll out your own, which sounds like that would just I think it would be really interesting, but I don't think that it'd be I think it'd take a very long time. So here we go. So taglib is a library for reading and editing the metadata of several popular audio formats. Currently, it supports both ID3, B1, and B2 for MP3 files, and FLAC, MPCs, WavePack, True Audio, Wave, AIFF, right? So now it becomes a question of how do I get this into this project? So let's see here. So we got CMake, we got I'm not going to spend too long on this, but so we got documentation, CMake modules. Okay, so So I'm curious if this, maybe I'll just try a really the first thing I'm going to try to do is just do it the way that I did it with JUCE and just see if it works. So I need to go back to my folder here. JUCE, audio programmer, JUCE DJ app. Go to the CMake list.txt. Let's just see if this actually will work or not. I have a feeling it's going to be. So let me just make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see my logic and make suggestions if I get stuck. So we're going to try to bring in a new library. So it's going to fetch content, declare. This is going to be called taglib. Get repository. That is so annoying. I must start using this with Sublime Text or something. So we got get underscore repository. And then we're going to paste that baby in there. And we got get underscore tag. And we're going to origin master. And then get shallow. And we're going to turn that on. So that just gives us the latest commit, not the history. Then find package args. Do I need to do that? I don't think so. So let's just try. Let's just try this and see if this works. Then I'm going to say fetch content, make available taglib. Is there anything else that I need to do? Target link libraries. Okay, so I feel like there's something that needs to happen there because it's another library. I need to link it. Now the question becomes, how do I actually do that? How did it actually? That is a mystery. Okay, so I'm going to just try something very. No. Okay. I'm just going to try that. I have no idea if it's going to work or not, but let's see if it works, and if not, what it complains about. So we need our command line again. We need this again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this out. And then we need to do CMake -b builds -g Xcode. And let's see if it actually works. So here we go. I'm going to drink a cup of coffee while this is waiting. And whether this works or not, this will probably be my final thing for the day. And let's just see if it if it happens or not. Um, let's see. So it's bringing in JUCE, that worked fine. Building, so JUCE should be fine. So now taglib, oh, is it gonna work? Oh, it looks like it. Ooh, I have no idea what it's doing here, but let's just, looks like it's doing something. There's a warning. The following optional packages have been found. The following optional packages have not been found. Okay. I have no idea what's even going to show up in here. What this is actually even going to look like at all. What is this? So package info. Can I just delete that? I'm not going to delete. I'm not going to do anything to it. Okay, so let's see here. So it has tag there. Looks like it worked. It brought it in here. Now the question becomes, how in the world do you use this thing? So let's see. So I guess the first question is, so there are a couple questions there. One is, how do I, let's just try to include it. Include tag. So how do I actually find it now? Where is it? So it has, this is the part that is a little bit confusing to me, is we've pulled in JUCE, right? We pull in these third-party libraries, but my question is, where do they actually reside? Where are they? Ah, here we go. So looks like it's in this folder called depths for dependencies. And now, let's see, is there an example? Examples. Install examples after we selected to build them. Aha, okay. Include directories. So it looks like there's something else that I need to do here. Target link libraries, tag. Should I just copy all of this and just paste it in my CMake file and see if it works? So, I mean, all of this makes sense. Include directories. This is all the stuff that we just cloned. If not, build shared libraries. Add definitions. Then adding these executables, which is like what we did with what we did in our file with, where is it? With this. So JUCE add GUI app. So that is what this is doing. Tag reader, tag writer. So install. Okay, I'm just going to try this. See what the heck happens. I mean, I'm going to go back to my CMake list. So I fetched the content, right? Let's just bring all this stuff in here for a second, then just pull it out to its appropriate places. So we have this include directories thing. Adding executables. I'm just going to try to do it. So let me see here. Let me just cut this. See, and then paste it here. Just try it. Just going to try it. So we are going to get rid of all this. Go back to the command line. And build. Let's see what happens. So now it's bringing in the dependencies. I have no idea what it's doing there. So it's bringing in JUCE currently. So it's going to take a minute. Big shout out to everybody who's been tuning in, by the way. This has been a real learning experience for me as well. So now it's configuring. Here we go, tag lib, so it's doing that. Doing all the business. All that business now. Looking good, looking good. Uh-oh, no sources given to target. No, so we got some errors here. Cannot find source file. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can. Let's see. Generate step. Build files cannot be regenerated correctly. Cannot find source file. Okay, so let's go back here again. So it's looking in the CMake current source directory. Tag reader.cbb. So let's go back to my CMake file again. Tag reader. Tag reader is not a target though, right? So where does tag reader come from? Let's go back to but it cannot find the source file tag reader. So where would that be? So let's go back here. Oh, so this so crazy. So this is the CMake list for the examples. Ah, no wonder. No wonder that's not working right. Okay. I need to roll all that back. So get rid of that. So I built it fine. It's just it worked. I just don't know how to actually start. Do I need to do? I think I need to add it to the target. So let me see. So add an executable target with the name. Adds a shared code static library with the name target. So I think I need, let's see here. I think I need add executable here. Add, why is it doing it in a different font? This is weird. Executable. Executable. So we want to add tag lib So I pulled it in. How do I add it now? It linked it. So let's go back to what we had before. And then I promise I'm going to call it a day. So I will get rid of this. Then go back to command line. Generate one more time. So this will be our final time. So it's pulling in source for JUCE. Okay. Okay. Pulling in tag lib. That succeeded. Now it's pulling in all this other stuff. Okay, so skipping test. So it looks like it worked. I just don't know how to actually find it now. That when I put in here tag lib, doesn't see anything. The source files are here. Tag underscore C. But I'm missing something. Something is missing. So we go back to examples. Let's just see how it wants to see. So it includes tag.h directly. And I see it here. Right here. Is that right? I don't know. This is where I've kind of got a little bit stuck. Oh, it's in header files. Tag.h. How do I get? You just go all the way. I don't know how to just make that searchable in my specific project. That's the problem. Let's look at Let's go back in here to this dependency folder. Just curious what this pulls up. Okay, so that's just like CMake rules. Yeah. Just trying to dig into this a little bit deeper and figure out that's just seeing how it does it in taking a look in how it does this in JUCE and trying to figure out how to apply it to taglib, because it has all of the same stuff. It's just okay, this is interesting. So looking in here, I see that there's a target called tag. And it succeeds, it builds. So it works. It's just, how do I bring it into JUCE DJ app? That's what I don't quite. Let's just install. That just canceled without doing anything. Yeah. Yeah. Not seeing it. Okay, that's about where my where my knowledge ends. So it seems like because in my CMake, I've linked the library. I just don't know how to actually get it into, or how to actually like search for it in my source files. Because this just has, you could just link, it just does it right there. JUCE audio formats. JUCE audio formats, JUCE audio formats, header. So let's see. So this is just, so JUCE audio formats, JUCE audio formats dot header, right? So that's in a folder called modules. How does it know? How does it know where that is? So that was in JUCE source. Okay, so now we want to go into taglib source. And I would have thought that it'd just be here in taglib, but it's not. but it's not showing. Why? Why does it not show? That's the final links to libraries. The problem is that there's this, right? If we go back to CMake, the JUCE documentation, the function JUCE add GUI app as an executable target with the name. Yeah. Adds a shared code static library target with the name. Along with extra targets for each of the specific. So, okay, so let's go. I'm just going to go back into the JUCE documentation here, into the CMake examples, and look at plugins. Look at how they do it with plugins. Let's see if I can get any information from that. No, not seeing anything that gives me anything. Target link libraries, links libraries and JUCE modules to other libraries and executables. Okay, so either I am not, yeah, so I am linking it to JUCE DJ app. And that so I'm going to try something here. I'm just going to put some random word in here and see if it just throws. I'm just going to go back here, open this up, clean this out. I'm very curious to see if it's going to give me, because if taglib is successfully linking, then it should work. Then it didn't throw an error for me before, but now I've just put a random word into the CMake, into the libraries that I want to link, and I'm curious to see if it's going to work or if it's going to say, we don't know what you're talking about. So this is going to be an interesting experiment here. Okay, so it's pulling in JUCE. Okay. So if it works the way that I'm hoping, it should give us an error. At the end here. At the very end. because I put taglib in there before, but now I'm just putting in blah. It did not. Did not. Okay, so what is zlib? CMake warning at builds dependencies, taglib source. Okay, so let's go back to README again. I'm like refusing to, I'm refusing to give in to this. So README is not really giving me a whole lot to go on. Ah, here we go. Uh-huh. Now we are getting somewhere. Helps if I look through all of the documentation. Tag uses the CMake build system. As a user, you'll most likely want to build taglib in release mode and install it into a system-wide location. This can be done using the following commands. Okay. In order to build the included examples, okay, if you want to build taglib without zlib, on Mac OS X, you may want to build a framework that can be easily integrated into your application. If you set the build framework option on, it will compile taglib as a framework. For example, the following command can be used to build a framework with Mac OS X 10.10 as the deployment target. Okay. So maybe I just want it as a static library. Windows is a nightmare. Surprise. So then you have unit tests. Okay. So I don't think that I'm going to. So what I've done is I've pulled in the entire library. All right. So basically, I need to figure out how to pull all of that into the CMake lists. After make and make install, add lib tag to your Xcode. So it's lib tag to your Xcode project and add the included folder to the projects. Let me just go back here for a second. include lib. See, I thought I was going to get lucky there. Be able to just include lib tag. Okay. Well, that's about the extent of my CMake knowledge for the moment. I'm going to need to get some expert help to help me figure out what else I need to do. But it's been a cool journey. It's done it. It's brought it in. I just don't know how to access it. That's the problem. So I don't know how to access it from my specific target. So that's the problem. Yeah, but it's an improvement. It's yeah, it seems to, and the really disappointing thing is that when I try to link the library, if I just put any old word in there, it doesn't actually throw an error if it doesn't find the library. That kind of stinks. Yeah. So that's it. If anybody has any advice, please put it in the comments below. And with that, I think we've had we've done quite a bit today. I hope that was helpful for people, and we will see you sometime next week for the next live stream. Thanks again, and speak soon.